This is your daily news brief with Aisha Mehta and Karan Rao. Today we're diving into some major developments. We'll be covering a huge defense procurement deal, a significant setback for ISRO, and a public health scare in Bengal.
And that's not all. We're also looking at crucial civic polls in Maharashtra and some major diplomatic moves involving both China and the U.S.
Let's start with that defense deal. The headline is that India is planning a major 3.25 lakh crore Rafale deal with France.
That's right. India is preparing to negotiate what is a monumental agreement. We're talking about 3.25 lakh crore, which is roughly $36 billion.
And this is for 114 Rafale fighter jets under the Multi-Role Fighter Aircraft Program, or MRFA.
It is. But this is more than just a big purchase. It immediately brings up this, classic debate. The conflict between the Indian Air Force's immediate needs and the government's long-term Make in India goals.
How so?
Well, the sources are detailing a very contentious point. The Rafales that are set to be manufactured in India, they're projected to have only about 30% indigenous content.
Only 30%. That's already a big point of debate. But it's made worse by the source code issue, isn't it?
Exactly. The reports confirm France is retaining all the source codes. And for anyone listening who isn't a specialist, that's not just a technical detail. It's the entire backbone of the jet.
So what does that mean in practical terms?
It means control. What this means is India cannot independently integrate its own weapons systems, our own missiles or munitions, without asking for French assistance.
And paying for it, presumably.
And likely paying a substantial fee for every single modification. It creates a kind of perpetual dependency.
Critics are obviously pointing to this as a major setback for Make in India. But the Air Force Command seems to have a very different perspective.
A very cold, hard lens of necessity. The IAF's stated rationale is that they have effectively no other alternative that meets their timeline.
And there's a history here, right?
A crucial history. The Rafale was already evaluated and chosen as the best option during that earlier decade-long MMRCA competition. And since then, the IAF has invested huge amounts of capital.
Into what specifically?
Into Rafale-specific infrastructure. We're talking specialized shelters, maintenance hangars, pilot training simulators, and extensive supply chains that were set up after the emergency purchase of the first 36 jets.
So if we were to switch platforms now, the consequences for operational readiness would be what?
Critical, verging on catastrophic. The IAF's authorized squadron strength is 42. Right now, it's down to just 29.
A 13-squadron deficit.
A huge deficit. And you can't fix that quickly. Every year of delay compromises India's deterrence posture. So for the IAF, getting these Rafales in a timely manner is an absolute must.
So this brings us to the whole debate around technology transfer, COT. The Air Chief Marshal himself has weighed in on this.
He has, and he's acknowledged the limited TOT, but he argues that demanding comprehensive indigenization on these urgent deals is often what causes the delays in the first place.
He seems to be advocating for a more targeted approach.
Exactly. Instead of demanding full control over an existing jet, the argument is to focus our leverage on future technologies, specifically advanced engine development. That's where the long-term value really is.
Let's talk about the jet itself. It's the Rafale F4 variant. How different is this from what India already has?
It's a major technological leap. The F4 is optimized for networking and data sharing. It's got a new software-defined radio and improved radar for tracking mobile ground targets.
And an enhanced electronic warfare suite, Spectra.
Correct. Plus, it introduces predictive maintenance, which should increase operational uptime. And it seems France is confirming India's interest in 90 of these F4s, with an option for 24 of the even more advanced F5 variant later.
So strategically, this solidifies France's position as our most reliable supplier.
It does. They offer advanced systems without the political strings you might get from other partners. And the ability to get 12 to 18 of these jets immediately in a flyaway condition is a massive advantage for closing that squadron gap.
It's a clear choice of operational readiness over, perhaps, political idealism for now.
Moving on from hardware to the people who form the military's backbone. On Armed Forces Veterans Day, the Chief of Army Staff, General Upendra Dwivedi, highlighted the expanding role and welfare for veterans.
Yes, and this day, January 14th, commemorates the retirement of Field Marshal K.M. Cariappa back in 1953. General Dwivedi's message was that veterans aren't just retirees, they are a resource that continues to contribute significantly.
And the scale of this community is massive. He defined it as a unified family of serving personnel, veterans, and dependents. We're talking about approximately 1.25 crore people.
And to support them, there's a major initiative, Project Nipah.
It was launched in August 2024 to create a dedicated support system for defense pensioners, and the expansion is impressive. The 100th Naaman Center is being inaugurated now.
With plans to expand to nearly 200 soon.
Yes, and critically, they are targeting remote regions so veterans who live far from major cities can still get the support they need.
Beyond just welfare, the general also talked about their strategic use. This is the Sharia Sampark initiative.
Right. It's about systematically engaging veterans in high-level strategic planning, wargaming, and an operational analysis. He even mentioned their performance in Operation Sindoor exceeded expectations.
And what about resettlement into civilian life?
The Army Welfare Placement Organization, or AWPO, is key here. Over 17,000 veterans secured jobs through it in the past year alone.
Which brings the total number to
Over 1.5 lakh veterans successfully placed. In his final remarks, the general made a powerful point. Economic strength drives growth, but it's military strength that ultimately underpins national outcomes.
a clear call to action for veterans to remain actively engaged. Now, from terrestrial challenges to those in space, and this is sobering news from ISRO, the PSLV C-62 mission has suffered a major setback.
It's a significant blow. The core fact is that an anomaly during the flight meant that 15 of the 16 satellites on board failed to reach their intended 512-kilometer sun-synchronous orbit.
What went wrong?
The initial liftoff was normal. But after the third stage ignited, Mission Control started seeing disturbances and deviations from the flight path.
The ISRO chairman, V. Narayanan, has confirmed the anomaly occurred towards the end of that third stage phase.
Yes. And while they haven't officially called it a failure yet, the mission clearly did not achieve its objective. A detailed investigation is now underway.
And the lost payloads make this particularly painful. These weren't just minor satellites.
No, they were strategically vital. We lost DRDO's Anvisha satellite, which was designed to detect military camouflage from space, a crucial intelligence capability.
We also lost Eutelsat,
which was set to be India's first in-orbit refueling demonstrator. Losing that delays a key part of our long-term space ambition. There was also a student-built satellite and a joint Earth observation satellite with Thailand and the UK.
But there's a remarkable twist in this story.
A truly remarkable one. A tiny satellite, the kid demonstrator from a Spanish startup called Orbital Paradigm, somehow survived. It managed to separate, activate on its own, and started transmitting data.
An engineering miracle, really. But for ISRO, the context is grim. This is the second consecutive PSLV setback.
It follows the unsuccessful PSLV C-61 mission in May of last year. This puts the reliability of ISRO's workhorse rocket under some intense scrutiny.
And there's the added problem of space debris now.
Yes, a former ISRO scientist noted that these 15 lost satellites might now be drifting as space debris, posing future collision risks. So ISRO is in a deep analytical phase right now, trying to find the root cause. Let's move from challenges in orbit to a critical public health alert on the ground in West Bengal. The Nipah virus has been confirmed.
And the state health department is moving fast. They've identified a wedding in Gokurgachi in Nadia district as the possible source of infection for a 25-year-old nurse who is now in a coma.
The main suspect for the transmission route is the consumption of raw date palm sap, known locally as Khejur roche.
This has been a known risk factor in previous outbreaks, right?
It has. The drink is often contaminated by fruit bats, which are the natural carriers of the Nipah virus. This has been the documented source in all previous Indian outbreaks.
And there's concern about secondary transmission.
Yes. Health experts believe the nurse may have passed the infection to a male colleague at Barasat Hospital. Both are now on ventilator support, and both have tested positive at NIV Pune.
What about containment efforts?
It's all about contact tracing right now. A team has traced 13 close contacts from that wedding. They're all asymptomatic, but they've been placed under strict home isolation and are being closely monitored.
And Nadia district has a tragic history with this virus.
It does. There was an outbreak there in 2007. All 5 infected individuals died, and that was also traced back to contaminated palm sap.
So the focus now is on education and surveillance.
Absolutely. Awareness campaigns are underway, urging villagers to avoid consuming fresh palm sap. Given the virus's high fatality rate, containment and prevention are the only real strategies.
Turning now to domestic politics. Maharashtra is in the midst of its crucial civic polls, the first since 2017.
It's a massive democratic exercise. Voting is underway across 29 municipal corporations, but the real spotlight is on the Mumbai Municipal Corporation, the BMC.
India's largest and wealthiest civic body.
Exactly. And the Mumbai contest is unique because it uses a single representative ward system, which really amplifies the stakes in every single ward.
And for the Thackeray family, the stakes are existential. The recently reunited Thackeray brothers are trying to reclaim the legacy of Bal Thackeray and the undivided Shiv Sena.
This is their chance to reassert control over the Marathi Manu's identity, which has been the foundation of their politics for decades. For them, winning the BMC is everything.
But it's just as crucial for Chief Minister Eknath Shinde, isn't it?
It is. After he split the Shiv Sena in 2022, this is his first real test to prove he has grassroots support and that his faction is the true inheritor of the party's ideology.
And the seat allocation for the BMC is telling.
It's very telling. The BJP is contesting 137 of the 227 seats, leaving Shinde Sena with the remaining 90. It shows the BJP is positioning itself as the senior partner in Mumbai.
Meanwhile, Ajit Pawar's faction of the NCP is contesting independently.
They are. After a disagreement with the BJP, they're going it alone. Their main goal will be a strong performance in Pune, which is their traditional stronghold.
These polls have been a long time coming.
They have. The terms of these bodies expired between 2020 and 2023. The results will not just decide who runs these cities, they will reshape the political landscape of the entire state. Moving back to space, this time internationally, NASA has just conducted its first ever medical evacuation from the International Space Station.
It's a historic moment. 4 astronauts, Zena Cardman, Mike Finke, Kimia Yui, and Oleg Platonov, were brought back to Earth more than a month ahead of schedule.
The reason, officials confirmed, is that one unidentified astronaut requires medical care and diagnostic capabilities that are only available on Earth.
They did confirm the individual is stable, and the issue was not related to any station failure.
Right. The crew departed aboard a SpaceX Dragon capsule and is expected to splash down near San Diego, where medical teams are on standby.
For 2 of these astronauts, this was their very first space flight.
Yes, for Cardman and Platonov, a very abrupt end to their first mission. Their departure leaves the station with a skeleton crew of just 1 U.S. astronaut and 2 Russian cosmonauts.
And that has an immediate operational impact.
A big one. All spacewalks are suspended until reinforcements arrive in mid-February. You need a minimum 2-person team with backup support for those, which they just don't have right now.
This was the first major operational call for the new NASA administrator, Jared Isaacman.
It was, and he noted that their computer models had actually predicted a medical evacuation would be needed about once every 3 years. The fact that it took 65 years to happen is quite remarkable.
And while this is a first for NASA, it's not entirely unprecedented in space history.
No, Russia had a similar incident back in 1985. A cosmonaut had to be returned early from the Soyuz 7 station. It really shows how critical these contingency plans are.
Now to the world of sport. The ODI series between India and New Zealand is now level at 1-1 after New Zealand won the second match in Rajkot.
And it was a historic win for them. They successfully chased 285, which is New Zealand's highest successful ODI chase ever on Indian soil.
The chase was led by a brilliant unbeaten 131 from Daryl Mitchell, with great support from Will Young, who made 87.
It was a fantastic partnership. This came after India posted 284 for 7, built around a superb century from KL Rahul, who hit 112 off just 92 balls.
But India really stalled in the middle overs, didn't they?
They did. After a strong start, the slow afternoon surface caused them to bog down. At one point, they scored only 58 runs in a period of 100 balls.
And New Zealand's bowlers took advantage.
Debutant Jaden Lennox and Michael Bracewell were very tight. And while India's fast bowlers started well in the second innings, the turning point came when Daryl Mitchell decided to attack Kuldeep Yadav.
That's where the momentum swung.
Absolutely. He hit a 6 and a lap sweep, which forced Kuldeep onto the defensive. After that, Mitchell and Young put on a 162-run partnership that effectively won them the game.
There were a couple of missed chances towards the end.
A run-out miss and a dropped catch, but by that point, New Zealand were in complete control. The key takeaway is that India's 8-match winning streak over the Kiwis is over, setting up a decider in indoor. Staying with cricket, but shifting to a complex story involving finance and politics. We have a statement from the Bangladesh Cricket Board about the T20 World Cup.
Yes. Nazmul Islam, the chairman of the BCB's Finance Committee, has asserted that the board would suffer no financial loss if Bangladesh withdrew from the 2026 T20 World Cup in India.
And his reasoning is based on the current ICC financial model. He explained that the BCB's revenue is fixed under a financial agreement that runs until 2027.
So their base funding from the ICC is guaranteed regardless of participation in this one tournament.
Exactly. It insulates the board's balance sheet. He was very clear that the only ones who would feel an immediate financial impact are the players. The players would lose their match fees and any performance-based bonuses because those payments are tied directly to them playing in the tournament. So, no institutional risk, but a big personal risk for the cricketers.
And this all comes in the context of some recent controversy.
It does. These comments followed Nazmul Islam's earlier accusation that former captain Tamim Iqbal was an Indian agent, which adds a layer of political tension to the whole discussion.
Did he acknowledge any long-term consequences?
He did. He conceded that a withdrawal could influence future tours and commitments, but he stressed that those are separate, long-term strategic issues, distinct from the board's immediate financial health.
So the bottom line is, the board is financially secure, but the stakes are very high for the players themselves. Moving now to entertainment, we have a huge box office story. Ranveer Singh's film, Dhurandhar, has become the highest-grossing Indian film ever in the United States. And its global performance is just as staggering. It's close to 1,300 crore worldwide. Domestically, it's earned over 800 crore net, making it the highest-grossing Hindi film ever in India.
What's really interesting is its overseas performance. It earned $32 million, and that was despite not being released or being shadow banned in the Middle East, which is usually a massive market for Indian films.
So North America's contribution was absolutely vital.
It was. And what stands out is that Dhurandhar, a Hindi-language film, outperformed massive pan-Indian blockbusters like Kalki 2898 AD and RRR in the U.S.-Canada market.
Which is a rare occurrence these days.
Very rare. It suggests that a high-quality, large-scale Hindi spy thriller can still have immense appeal in the diaspora and beyond. The film is also the highest-grossing Indian movie in Australia.
So with a worldwide gross of 1,296 crore, Dhurandhar is now the fourth highest-grossing Indian film of all time. A true blockbuster.
Turning now to diplomacy, India and China have held their first major bilateral meeting of the year.
India's Foreign Secretary Vikram Misri met with Sun Hyan, a vice minister from the International Department of the Communist Party of China.
And Misri's message was firm and clear. He stressed the need for positive, tangible steps on the ground to create the right environment for better relations.
Which is India's consistent position. It all comes back to the situation along the line of actual control.
Precisely. India wants full disengagement at all friction points and a return to the status quo of April 2020. Misri's use of the word tangible means India needs verifiable military action, not just diplomatic talk.
The talks did review some of the positive momentum since the 2024 border patrolling agreement.
They did, and they prioritized business and people-to-people engagements for the new year. Misri specifically highlighted fostering greater understanding between the peoples of both countries.
And the Chinese side seemed to reciprocate.
Yes, they conveyed Beijing's expectation for expanding exchanges under the existing MEAIDCPC program. So both sides are formally committed to normalization, but the massive trade deficit with China remains a huge obstacle.
That's a huge pressure point, isn't it?
It creates a paradox. India needs stability, but the economic dependency creates political vulnerability. As a final diplomatic gesture, though, China did offer its support for India's upcoming BRICS chairmanship in 2026.
Which signals that despite bilateral tensions, both countries see the value of cooperating on multilateral forums.
Our final story takes us to the United States and a sweeping change in its global immigration policy affecting 75 nations.
The U.S. State Department has announced an indefinite suspension of immigrant visa processing for nationals of these 75 countries, effective January 21st.
This means consular officers are halting all decisions on immigrant visas. And to be clear, these are the visas that lead to permanent residency family reunification, employment-based green cards, and so on.
And the official rationale is the public charge provision.
Right. It's an old part of U.S. law meant to prevent the entry of people deemed likely to rely on government assistance. The current administration has really tightened the enforcement of this.
The State Department spokesperson said the pause will continue until new procedures are in place to ensure immigrants don't become a burden.
But the scope of this is very specific. It's crucial to note this does not apply to non-immigrant visas. So tourist, business, and student visas are unaffected.
A strategic exclusion, which avoids disrupting things like the upcoming FIFA World Cup.
Exactly. The policy is aimed squarely at those seeking permanent settlement. And the 75 affected countries span Africa, Asia, Latin America, the Middle East. It includes major nations like Bangladesh, Brazil, Nigeria, Pakistan, and Russia.
This is a clear continuation of a policy trajectory we've seen developing for some time.
It is. It builds on a directive from last November and aligns with broader efforts to limit immigration. This will, of course, create a huge bottleneck for many, including high-skilled professionals waiting for green cards.
We've covered a critical range of news today, really navigating that difficult space where national ambition meets some very real operational hurdles.
From the strategic urgency of the Rafale deal, despite its limitations, to the vital focus on welfare for our 1.25 crore veterans.
And we also saw the harsh reality of failure with the ISRO setback, the immediate crisis of the Nipah outbreak, and the high-stakes political battle in Maharashtra.
It really highlights this constant tension, the tension between aiming high in space, in defense, and the absolute necessity of managing immediate ground-level challenges, whether it's a virus or a political rivalry.
That tension reminds us that real power is often about more than just setting big goals. It's about the persistent, careful execution of plans for when things don't go as expected.
Thank you for joining us for this deep dive into the day's most important developments.
Join us next time for more essential analysis of the stories shaping India and the world.